As Tropical Storm Bertha is approaching Louisiana, tropical storm conditions are being felt across parts of the state. According to the NHC, this system is expected to make landfall in the next few hours, either stay right on shore or move just offshore before heading to Texas. But as of recently, there's been some more data that has emerged that I want to take a look at and see how things are going to progress going forward, as a potential relocation of its center could be possible further to the south that would keep it out to sea. In today's video, we're going to go over that possibility, and we're going to go over everything that we know about Tropical Storm Bertha. Alright, let's go ahead and get right into this. So here is what we have for you guys right here. This is Tropical Storm Bertha, at least according to the LOC and according to the NHC. It is making its final approach towards Louisiana, expected to make landfall, move just onshore around the state before moving out to sea briefly once again, and then impacting Texas, particularly in the Houston area going forward. But I wanted to go ahead and talk about this. I want to give a quick update on what's going on and how the conditions are going to pan out moving forward. So here's the situation. This is where it was as of the 10 a.m. advisory. Tropical storm conditions are already being felt from Alabama all the way to the Mississippi River Delta. It is expected to be making landfall in the next few hours as it approaches Louisiana, and then it is expected to either remain just onshore or just offshore as it approaches Texas, particularly now in the Houston area, which is now under a tropical storm watch at this current point in time, before emerging through Texas and dissipating by Friday morning. So this is what we got. We're going to go ahead and read out the public advisory for you guys too. And this is what we got for you guys right here at 10 a.m. The system is a bit further to the north than what we were looking at previously. It's moving west-northwest at 6 miles per hour. Maximum sustained winds are at 50 miles per hour. Tropical storm force winds 105 miles from the center. Pressure of 998 millibars at the time of this advisory. Definitely something we're going to want to watch out for. Storm surge, you're still looking at those values right there, anywhere from 1 to 3 feet to 2 to 4 feet. We'll go ahead and pull up the peak surge for you guys right here. From the Mississippi-Alabama border to the mouth of the Mississippi River, you're looking at 2 to 4 feet of storm surge. For a lot of these areas, I do want to emphasize this may not seem like very much, but 2 to 4 feet of storm surge in Louisiana is very low, which is very low-lying environment, a very low-lying land across much of the state over there, particularly with all the swamps and the marshes and those areas in southeastern Louisiana. That is going to push in quite a bit inland, especially as the system starts to make landfall and head towards those areas. So that's what we're looking at. And from Port Bolivar all the way to the mouth of the Mississippi, we're looking at 1 to 3 feet. Same with Lake Pontchartrain. And from the Mississippi-Alabama border to near the Florida Panhandle as well. So that's what we're looking at this current point in time. According to the discussion, this has peaked in intensity yesterday. It's expected to make landfall and weaken going forward. So not too much to really discuss going on with the discussion from the NHC at this current point in time. So that's what we have for our latest update. According to the NHC, we're going to be looking at a few data points as well, and I want to go ahead and start taking a deep dive into some of the data and present it to you guys as well. So this is what we got. This is the latest satellite imagery according to DEFY right here. We're going to go ahead and pull this up. And I'm pulling this up just to kind of give you an idea of what's going on. First of all, if you look on visible satellite, the low-level circulation, at least according to what we're seeing right here, is pretty well defined as it's heading towards Louisiana. We'll go ahead and show you the infrared, and we'll go ahead and play this out to kind of give a quick analysis as to what we may be seeing going forward. So the system at this current point in time, as I'm recording this video right now, seizure warning to those prone to flashing lights. But here's what we have for you guys right here. This system is moving to the west-northwest. It is approaching the Louisiana coast at this current point in time, moving at around 6 miles per hour, expected to make landfall in the next few hours. We're going to want to pay attention to see how that progresses. A lot of the convection is to the southwest at this current point. It's been battling a lot of shear over the last few days. That shear has started to lessen a little bit, but we'll have to see how things will progress going forward. But I also want to take a look at a couple of things as well. According to what I've seen and according to surface observations as well as data I've recently seen, there is a mid-level circulation that's been developing over the last day or so further to the south near the Mississippi River Delta. In fact, if we go ahead and show you surface observations, it'll explain it to you a little bit more clearly. So this is what I was sent by some of my guys on my tropical team. This is what Delta sent me earlier today. This is what we got right here. According to surface observations, you're looking at, from your wind barbs, your flow, at least according to the surface obs, kind of being more so down to the south compared to what we've seen previously with the LCL. Normally with a tropical cyclone, if you see where the LCL is defined and where you see that surface low pressure over there, and if it's currently right now over this part in Louisiana, which according to the LCL it is, you would see these wind barbs kind of reacting in a counterclockwise fashion, moving around this. This wind barb over here off the mouth of the Mississippi River would actually be pointing, instead of to the southeast, it would be pointing to the northeast from this point in time, based on what I have seen. Instead, it's pointing to the southeast over here. You're looking at these wind barbs right here. These would be pointing toward more easterly direction. These are actually pointing towards the northeast, as a matter of fact. Tropical cyclones, and typically any cyclone in the Midwest, rotates counterclockwise. That's an interesting situation we're going to want to watch out for. And I will tell you this, if we see a scenario where this holds, let's say the LCL makes landfall in Louisiana, kind of weakens and kind of falls apart, the MLC, but right here I said LCL, I meant LLC, but the MLC over here, the mid-level circulation rather, could potentially take over, drill a new low-level circulation down to the surface, and that could potentially cause the start of new tropical activity over there. So that's kind of a situation that we're paying attention to. It's a little bit iffy, I will tell you right now, mainly because the fact that Bertha's just been all over the place. It's been up, down, going in loop-de-loops and all of that. It's been a very hard storm to kind of track and forecast for. So this system may be potentially pulling in, another LCL out further to the south definitely is not out of the question, but I want to wait and see for more data, especially with recon that's currently in at the time of recording this video, to see how realistic of a scenario that is. But for right now, I am going to entertain this. I do want to kind of talk about the potential hypotheticals we have with this going here, just because I feel like it wouldn't do any harm at this current point, because the system is still a 50-mile-per-hour tropical storm. Tropical storm impacts at this current point are starting to impact Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. And I want to go ahead and go, okay, this system's about to make landfall, at least according at the LCL point. If this system develops from the MLC, it develops a new low-level circulation, how can this pan out, and how could things potentially play out going forward? And for that, we're going to go ahead and talk about the conditions. We're going to talk about a few things are going to go for it and maybe go against it as well. And for that, let's go ahead and start. So here is our water temperatures. Matter of fact, I'll give you a better map for this right here. This has obviously been the thing that's been going the best for it. You're having over 30 degrees Celsius water temperatures that are pretty much going, that have pretty much been going from the Florida Panhandle all the way to Louisiana at this current point. This is why this system has been battling all that shear at such a very fast rate, and a very powerful rate too. This system has not been going down without a fight, and these very warm waters are why. Yes, it doesn't look the best on satellite, obviously, but the fact that we're seeing all this this wind shear, 30 knots of wind shear is quite the amount for the system to overcome. And I know yesterday, as I was talking about, this system literally, from what I've talked to my friends about behind the scenes, this system literally pulled a Fiona. And what I mean by that is the system basically strengthened while battling a ton of shear to 60 miles per hour, which is its peak intensity at this current point in time, before starting to weaken and all that stuff as well. And I remember with Fiona, it battled for around 50 knots of wind shear while intensifying to a 60-mile-per-hour tropical storm, until that shear started weakening, and then all hell started to break loose with that. I'm not saying that this is going to happen with this system right here. The LCL is on the brink of making landfall, and the MLC, not the LCL, the LLC and the MLC rather, is starting to develop. It's starting to get its act together and get organized. It's mainly going to stay along the coast of Louisiana and Texas, but where it's going towards is about 30 degrees Celsius of water temperatures at least, which is about 86 degrees Fahrenheit for those of you who do not use the metric system. So that's what you're looking at with your water temperatures. Let's go ahead and take a quick gander. We can't really take a gander at the ocean heat content because OHC doesn't really register this close to the coast, primarily because there's not too much depth with it, but water temperatures are definitely there. But this isn't the only thing we need to look at. We need to also take a look at a few other factors like wind shear, dry air as well, because the system's been battling wind shear, the system's been battling dry air. The water temperatures have been the main thing that's been going for it. The wind shear has been kind of keeping this system at bay, but there has been a bit of a change that I do want to go ahead and talk about, because I've noticed this shift since last night, and it's definitely been continuing, so let's go ahead and pull it up. So here is your wind shear right here for you ladies and gentlemen. This is what we got going on across the Gulf. This is as of this morning. What you're noticing right here is you're noticing this wind shear pocket over here off the coast of in Texas and Louisiana, really starting to dive down into the Gulf. The 15-knot wind shear contour is now in the Gulf region over here. If we go ahead and show you what we were looking at last night, this was actually as of around 7 p.m. last night. So this is about 15 hours ago, according to from when I'm recording this and from when I've seen the latest image. You are looking at 25 to 30 knots of wind shear across much of the Gulf over here that has been kind of hammering and hindering the system's development and ultimately kind of keeping it at bay. This is where we're seeing now, and man, oh man, things are definitely getting a bit interesting. So you've seen this over the last 15 hours. This low wind shear pocket has been diving into the Gulf. We're not 100% sure if the system's going to have enough time to take advantage of that, because if the system stays together where the LCL is and makes landfall in Louisiana, it's most likely going to be it. It may reorganize a little bit once it reemerges off the coast as it heads towards Texas, if it even does that at all. But overall, it won't have that water temperature situation anymore for it to take advantage of. But if the system does relocate further to the south, that's when the system could take advantage of this weakening wind shear. As where the system's at right now, it's in about 15-ish knots of wind shear, so it's down from about 25 that we saw last night. And that wind shear, at least according to the forecast from what I've seen in the trends, is expected to move and continue to shift further down to the south as well. So that's kind of what we're looking at with our wind shear right here. Definitely decreasing wind shear over the last day or so that I've been watching. You had a situation where a couple nights ago, the wind shear was starting to decrease, then it ramped back up again, and last night started to decrease, and it's continuing to decrease across much of the Gulf. The main thing is, does this system have enough time to get its act together for a new low-level circulation further to the south to allow a center relocation to take more advantage of that? The answer is a bit complicated right now, but for right now, at least according to surface observations, it does seem to be leaning towards that direction, but there's still some data that we need to go over. There's still some unknowns with this, and because Bertha has been going all over the place with this, with how things have been progressing, we need to wait and see how things will go, especially in the next day or so. So that's what your wind shear is looking like. Let's take a look at the dry air aspect. And here is our dry air. Let's go ahead and take a look at our water vapor imagery, at least according to what we're seeing with Bertha. We're going to go ahead and pull it up for you guys and loop it, as a matter of fact. So here's what your dry air aspect of it is looking like. At least in terms of dry air, there is some moisture over here in the deep south that's kind of slowly making its way towards the Gulf. But by the time the system starts to move further to the west or makes landfall, it's not really going to reach it at that current point. So it would have to rely on the moisture that's dealing with all this convection that's kind of booming off the southwestern quadrant of it and over here off the Mississippi River Delta. So That's what we're looking at in terms of our dry air. A lot of the wind shear that we saw over the last couple of days has been driving some dry air into this system as well. So that's something that we need to keep an eye on and something we need to pay attention to as well to see if that will continue to persist, or if the wind shear starts to calm down, will this convection, if this system relocates, start to wrap around, give it some time to organize before heading towards Texas. But overall, the dry air is a bit more of a 50-50 for me, mainly because you do have some moisture on the way, but I don't think there's going to be enough time for it to get down to the Gulf before the system moves far enough to the west over here. But by the time what we do see going on over here is this system is still producing a ton of convection further to the southwest. It's not as much as what we saw a couple of days ago, but the convection it is producing is generally very strong. It's generally very powerful, and it's still producing a good moisture pocket for the system to get together at. So it's something that you're going to want to pay attention to. Regardless of that, if you're in Texas, if you're in Louisiana, you're going to absolutely want to pay attention to it, primarily if you are on the Texas coast, because where all that convection is going, that's a lot of rain, there's a lot of lightning in there. You're going to want to watch out for that. That's going to cause potential flash flooding. Also looking at the storm surge, 1 to 3 feet in a lot of the low-lying areas from Beaumont to Galveston to the Gulf, to the Bolivar region over there is definitely not something to scoff at, in my opinion. So that's what we're looking at in terms of our conditions. Let's take a quick look at our hurricane models as well. Here is our track models. This is from earlier this morning. This was before the system kind of meandered a bit further up to the north. The 12Z runs mainly kept this further to the south, had the system making landfall around the Mississippi River Delta, and then moving just off the coast before moving towards Texas, making landfall anywhere from the Corpus Christi to the Houston area at this current point in time. The H-Wharf definitely wanted this to get yanked further up towards the Texas Panhandle after landfall, so definitely something to pay attention to, but still the majority of the ensembles want this to head towards Mexico and dissipate in the mountain regions over there at some point. Here is our intensity models. Intensity is definitely interesting as well. Some keep it around 50 miles per hour. Some strengthen it a little bit. Some strengthen it, especially the HMON and the H-Wharf, up to potentially a strong tropical storm as the system starts to reemerge over the warm waters. This was the thinking earlier this morning. Just keep that in mind. But ultimately, with a system a bit further up to the north, we're not 100% sure how that's going to persist, especially if the mid-level circulation does develop. We're going to want to watch out for that. But if it doesn't develop that low-level circulation further to the south in the system, then these models are not going to be really doing too much. So that's kind of the main thing we're looking at. At this point, we're going to kind of have to nowcast the system, mainly because the LLC is just shifting further up to the north, expected to make landfall in eastern Louisiana in a few hours if it hasn't already by the time you see this. And then from then on out, we're going to have to watch, is this mid-level circulation going to develop anything, or is this not going to do too much at all? Although the surface observations and some of the data I have seen kind of suggest that that's going to happen, it's still a bit of a split at this current point, and that's something we'll have to watch out for. Lastly, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the models real quickly. Let's just kind of give you a little visual as to what's going on. Let's go ahead and pull up your hurricane models. Let's pull up the HMON and the H-Wharf as well. Here's what we have for the H-Wharf. The 12Z isn't out just yet, but we can kind of give you a little bit of a visualization as to what may be happening when the system does make landfall, and if it stays further up into Louisiana as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at our main sea level pressure and 10 meter winds. So this system's forecast to make landfall. The H-Wharf is kind of either keeping this further to the north and then potentially relocating this further to the south. This was earlier this morning, so that's definitely an interesting fact right here, but mainly hugging the coast of Louisiana right there as it's starting to make landfall. It actually makes landfall east of Houston, west of Beaumont over here in this region right here. So you're going to want to keep an eye on it. Makes landfall as a tropical storm as it starts to move inland. From then on out, not too much happens from there. Taking a quick look at our radar, potentially some flooding, especially if you're tuning in from eastern Texas right here as all this convection starts to make its way over to shore. you're going to want to watch out for those impacts as well. So it's definitely an interesting thing we're going to need to pay attention to. Let's go ahead and also pull up the HMON as well. The 12Z HMON is starting to come out, and kind of the HMON is kind of favoring this center relocating, as a matter of fact, by the time we get to tonight. So that's definitely something that we're going to want to pay attention to, because if this system does emerge and it does relocate further to the south, it's going to be a new ball game. It's going to be a situation where the water temperatures are going to be still very piping hot, and you're going to see a decline in wind shear. So that's going to be a big changer if that continues to hold. One thing I do want to point out with this, however, is the HMON out of all the hurricane models has been the only one that is initialized properly. I do want to emphasize that. Yes, it's been the most aggressive model. Do I think the intensity is going to hold up in some cases? I wanted it to be a Category 3 hurricane at one point. No. But what I will say is the HMON has been the only hurricane model out of the suite that has been intensifying this and has been initializing this correctly. So it's something we're going to need to watch out for, and it's something especially going into tonight if the LLC reemerges off the coast of Louisiana instead of making landfall. It's something we need to pay attention to, and we'll keep you updated on it here on the Pat's Path Predictor channel. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and close the video out right here. I really hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. The goal, as always, is to get more people engaged with weather. Feel free to join the Storms United Discord server as well. The link to that is in the end screen. And with that being said, have a wonderful day, guys. Stay safe.